welcome to another episode of Network Special, episode 10. I actually know this time. Our show. What is our show? Our show is a show that talks about other shows, right? Shows from long ago. I mean, sometimes there's no reason why we can't watch a show that just came out.
We're not today, right? But we could. We could.
Absolutely.
I just want everybody out there to know that we could if we wanted to.
Yeah, so stop saying we can't. Stop writing in the comments you won't do one of these news shows. You're only doing all those. But it's a show about the golden age of appointment television where you had to pull out your little TV guide and check out what the VCR Plus code was so that you could watch your show.
The what?
Sorry. What now?
The VCR Plus code?
Okay, hold on. Let me finish this, and then I'll get into VCR Plus.
I feel like I vaguely remember this. Okay.
What I meant to say was you get your TV guide out to see what was coming up the next week, and you had to watch it when it aired, unless you had a VCR. Otherwise, you might not ever see it again because it was a special TV show. But now with the magic of the internet, you can watch these things over and over. I don't even know if I fully explained what I'm talking about in there. But let's just skip over to
It wasn't your best, but sadly, wasn't your worst.
That is sad. VCR Plus. So on the TV guide, my dad would, say he would flip to the TV guide, see what was coming up. He would go to his VCR. He would type in he would program it to say okay, on Sunday at 9:30.
Yeah.
This is coming on.
Yeah.
I want you to start recording. So he would put a blank tape in, and then it would automatically start recording whatever channel
ours did
was
that.
programmed. Right. Now VCR Plus came along. It was a technology that existed where you could hook it up to your VCR, and they had a deal with TV Guide, and next to each TV show on TV Guide there would be a little 4-digit code or something. And you could type that code into your VCR Plus little touchpad thing, and then it would automatically set up your VCR for that. It's
kind of smart, actually.
Yeah, it's cool. And it obviously it was just whatever numbers you typed in there. It wasn't connected or something. It just whatever numbers they typed into TV Guide. When you type those in, it corresponded to whatever setting that would have been on your VCR.
Right.
I found one of these at the thrift store recently.
Did you buy it?
No, because I don't subscribe to TV Guide anymore. So,
quitter.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I was like 25 years in. I was
weren't.
Just about to get my 26-year anniversary gift.
Your chip.
Yeah. And because they don't do it at 25 like normal. They're special TV Guide, so they're 26-year anniversary, and I just said I couldn't do it because I can go to tvguide.com for free. So
right, you're special.
Exactly. So, what are we talking about this week? We're deep into November, okay? We're in November, hardcore into November, okay?
Yep. And
we did National Lampoon's Thanksgiving Family Reunion. We did that one.
We did.
Which we thought that this would be a good opener to our November, potentially end of October show. I couldn't remember when it's going to air. Because we're recording this, of course, like I revealed in the last.
Yeah, quit pulling back the curtain, man.
Sorry. I'm feeling very wizardy today. And then we went to the Jerk too, which is not a Thanksgiving thing. So I thought we better do one more Thanksgiving thing.
I think he eats a turkey sandwich in one of the scenes, if that helps.
That is true. So I thought we better do something Thanksgiving. And what more Thanksgiving? How Thanksgiving can you get?
How much Thanksgiving year could you be?
Can you get then another horror movie?
This is not a horror movie, but in its own way, it is a horror movie.
This is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We did one last year with the guest who shall not be named, with the host who shall not be named.
What?
And
he hasn't been excommunicated. He didn't personally wrong you, did he?
In the last week, he really made me angry.
Is that true?
No.
I can tell you live in Florida because like you refuse to honor your history and talk about it and teach it. And I'm up here to say, I think you should say his name and no, you're saying no?
Well, I don't want to be fired, so I can't say.
Then you're canceled.
Yeah.
Either you're going to get yourself fired or you're canceled. You have to pick.
Exactly. So anyways, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This is the 71st annual. The year is 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go and look online to find this, you'll see that this the main copy that I could find is I don't know if it's a rebroadcast or I can't understand. It says an NBC. It says recorded from an earlier live broadcast. So maybe this was played later in the day.
Yeah, it must have been in the middle of the night or something.
Yeah,
we're filling time and we're going to show this again.
And it's a little sad because there are some really insane moments that happen in this year that you do not see in this broadcast.
Well, that's because people weren't thankful for them. Like what?
Yeah.
Give me an example of something crazy that happened in 97.
And the truth is, I'm not 100% sure if I'm not 100% sure if they were in the live broadcast either, but I'm assuming because there were multiple accidents that happened during this year's parade.
Ooh, do tell.
This is one of the most infamous parades.
There's not that many.
Well, I don't know. I'm on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade fan wiki. So there's a lot.
No, I'm saying there's not that many infamous parades. Are there?
There might be. I'd have to go through the whole wiki, and I'm not ready to do that. So here's a list of the incidents, okay? And I'm gonna say every incident that happened, okay? And you're gonna go, we should not say all of this stuff because it's too much. But I don't care. I'm gonna go through every incident that happened.
Are you sure you want to do that?
I do. Are you ready? Starting at the top, the ice cream cone. The ice cream cone balloon faced turbulence along the parade route, causing the bottom of the cone to partially deflate. While passing through Times Square, the balloon knocked over its pilot, who was able to bounce back with no injuries.
Its pilot? Okay. Is that just a guy holding onto the rope?
Yeah.
Steering it?
The Arthur balloon's left arm was damaged by a tree. However, it did not affect the balloon's flight. His left ear was also deflated, which you do see in this broadcast. The ABC balloons, despite their small size, they accompanied the Big Bird balloon. They were still damaged. The C balloon was removed from the lineup somewhere between Times Square
Which
and
one?
Herald
The
Square.
Seabird?
The C balloon.
The C balloon.
From the ABC balloons that accompanied Big Bird. Garfield's tail was deflated overnight, and his left back paw was spared because of its helium during the march.
Typical for him.
The Peter Rabbit balloon was nearly punctured by several lampposts, including the lamppost that would later be knocked down by another balloon, which we will talk about. Flying Fish novelty balloon was shredded by overnight gusts of wind. The balloon was unable to be repaired.
What is the name of this Wikipedia you're reading?
This is a fandom.com, okay? Pink Panther was one of the toughest balloons to handle due to its size. Gusts of winds would cause the balloon to continuously lurch forward and backward, knocking down its handlers repeatedly. It faced the most turbulence. In an attempt to stabilize the balloon, an NYPD officer stabbed its tail, which proved successful. It was pierced by a streetlight in Times Square, tearing a hole in the balloon.
Wow.
NYPD balloon
This sounds
officers
awesome. I would have loved to be here for all this.
helped to deflate the balloon by stabbing the carcass. During the collapse, the balloon almost suffocated a mother and her daughter who were handling the balloon, and another report stated the handler was knocked unconscious. The Quick Bunny was unable to enter
Oh my God.
during his planned position as a result of the handler struggling to keep the balloon in line. Due to this, the balloon was moved to the Barney balloon's position. Quick Bunny's left ear was punctured by a tree and deflated. The balloon suffered further damages where the hat was torn open. And in spite of the damages, the balloon continued to fly.
Did you know all this when this was chosen?
Yes. I mean, I knew some of it.
I want to
but
hear
not
the
all of
rest.
this.
And I don't know how far through the list you are, but this is already a major shit show.
So Barney, due to the Quick Bunny's delayed start, the Barney's balloon was moved to behind the westward hoe flow. While traveling, the balloon knocked over a tree. No one was injured, and no damage was done to the balloon. When the balloon arrived at Times Square, the winds were getting stronger, and he started to be flown back and forth. He became so uncontrollable that some of the handlers had to lay on the ground in order to get the balloon under control. But
I like the way that makes the balloon seem like a living entity somehow.
Barney was forced into a streetlight, tearing a massive hole in the right side of him, and the police had to stab him as well.
Man, these things are really like
now you can
they're
see,
more vulnerable than I would think. I wouldn't think running into a streetlight would like rip it open. But
now you could see this video online. I haven't watched it, but you can watch it. Sonic the Hedgehog, mere minutes after Sonic started its march, the balloon was pulled from the lineup because of his head being ripped open. And here is what's the worst one. This isn't even the last one, but it is the worst one. This is the worst accident in the parade's history. The Cat in the Hat hit a lamppost twice. The first time, the balloon hit it, it bounced back. The second time, however, the 100-pound light fixture snapped off and fell into the crowd, injuring 4 people and injuring a woman who was put into a month-long coma.
Oh, my God!
The lady sued Macy's for $3.5 million. However, it was settled out of court. The Cat in the Hat signature chapeau was deflated by personnel as a result of the incident. And then this led to new safety guidelines the following year, including restrictions on balloon sizes. And he was permanently banned from the parade. Sorry.
Because he was because it was like too big?
It did not violate the size limits, but they banned him because of they did not want to put someone
to
else in
teach
the
him a
coma.
lesson.
Yeah. I'll teach
First, he
you.
messed up those kids' houses when their mom was at work. Now he's like almost killing a lady, putting her in a coma. I mean, he's a sociopath.
Exactly. Spider-Man's hands and feet were deflated as a result of the gusty winds. Bumpay, which we'll read about later, we'll hear about later, his back legs were punctured and deflated.
Oh my God!
Gust pushed him into the sidelines. The high winds caused him to lose his front toenails. Despite the incident, the balloon remained largely intact, and then incidents didn't stop at just the giant balloons, as several floats were affected by the bad weather. The Father Snowman on the Snow Family Holiday float lost its head, and the Pilgrim Man toy float's hat was blown off. Several balloons were removed as a safety precaution following the Cat in the Hat incident. That includes Eben Bear, Petula Pig, and the Snow Star novelties. The Sea Alphabet Balloon, Chloe the Holiday Clown, a Pennsylvania Dutch ornament, and a flower ornament were also removed. And in the aftermath, they called it the Great Balloon Massacre. This caused them to introduce new measures to fix these things. In 1998, giant balloons would be attached to 2 utility tractors, as well as a handler pilot expansion. And then the most important rule, the balloons could be no longer than 70 feet in height, 78 feet in length, or 40 feet in width. So that means Bugs Bunny, the Pink Panther, Betty Boop, Woody Woodpecker, and Bart Simpson
Oh my God!
were permanently banned from making any further appearances.
Please tell me you're done.
In 2005, after another serious incident occurred, more safety measures were enacted. But yeah,
Maybe it's time to just end this horrible, horrible event. Holy crap. That was all because of wind?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's still going on today. There'll be one this year.
So don't get comaed.
I want to see. That's like worse than if you remember the Batman in 1989, where the Joker has like a parade and he's got a bunch of balloons and they all are secretly filled with Smilex gas and he starts like gassing the crowd. I mean, this Macy's parade almost approached that level of carnage. It sounds like.
Well, that as a result of that parade, they made a rule that said no Smilex.
That Gotham parade
was allowed. Yeah, no Smilex was allowed in balloons going forward.
Like, no more of this. Like, we've been fine with you having a little bit of Smilex and gassing some people, but I mean, he went over the top.
Helium works just as well.
Yeah, it's senseless. It doesn't need to happen.
So what's interesting though is they do advertise like the Petula pig in the intro to this broadcast, but Petula the pig,
Get it
Petula
right.
is what I'm calling
Petula.
it. But Petula does not show up, so false advertising.
He, Petula. It's Miss Petula Pig, so it's a lady.
My uncle. I want to tell this story. My uncle one time. We were at Friendly's, and he ordered a quesadilla, I think, or something. And it came out. It didn't look anything like the picture or something. And he said to the waiter, "That's false advertising." Like he was going to sue.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm going to call the FCC.
But he should like figure out that all food advertisements, all menu pictures, all of that, they're all like doctored and fake food. And that's been the way it has always been.
It might have also been like that the description of the item said something and it didn't come that way. And they were like, oh, it doesn't come that way. But then it's advertised that way, or something. I don't know. It was just funny.
All right.
Okay,
so you're mentioning Miss Petula Pig.
Yeah.
Made me think of one of the things that I really liked about this is that it is narrated by, hosted by, whatever, by the announcer for it is Don Pardo, the legendary Don Pardo, who had a phenomenally long career and is known very well for having been the announcer for Saturday Night Live for many years. And he's got that very like recognizable like everything he says is like, we're going to get food. Like, and so I was really delighted listening.
What do you want from McDonald's?
Yeah. I was very delighted listening to him introduce, everything that was going to be happening, all the people and all the acts and all that stuff that were going to be happening in this, because just a couple selections. I can either do these as Don Pardo or I can play the clip. What would you prefer?
I want you to do them as Don Pardo.
Okay, good.
I want you to do your impression of Don Pardo.
So, I mean, he has to introduce all these people. So one of them is like, he's like, John Tesh, who in the 90s was a person that was like allowed to be around and be on camera a lot. So
yeah, sure. He was on Entertainment Tonight, right?
Yes, he was. Deborah Gibson, who is Debbie Gibson. And
no. I think she grew up.
Yeah, she's trying to be, she's trying to be a woman now. And so that was good. I liked when he said, the all new Captain Kangaroo. And I just like, he must have felt so stupid, so dumb introducing this stuff. One of my favorites that he introduced was Hip Hop Kids, which is like, I guess that's the name. Is that a name of like an official group?
I don't know, because
I don't think they're in it.
No, they're not in our broadcast.
Yeah,
no.
I was waiting to see them.
I was very upset because I am a hip hop kid.
Hip Hop Kids. And then I liked when he has to do a rundown in the opening introduction too of the balloons, and the way he says it is he says, "Giant character balloons," and then he names a bunch of them. A couple of which you mentioned, which were Bumpy, and like it's just he can't not do that voice because that's what he does. That's his style. Miss Petula Pig. That's the only reason I knew to correct the way you were saying it is because Don Pardo, God rest his soul.
Yeah, but if he says Bumpy, that's wrong. It's Bumpy.
Bumpy. Well, maybe he doesn't says. You don't know if he says Bumpy. Then from that moment forward, it's Bumpy because he's great. Hip hop kids. This made me think. I was laughing. Part of it is I'm gonna pull back the curtain more. Many years ago, Nathan had this comedy show which was really great with a guy that we were friends with. I don't know if I should say his name, but he had this comedy show, and they did this sketch where they did an introduction to their live sketch show, and they played it at the it was like opening credits, and it was done in the style of Saturday Night Live. And there was somebody, who was that, Nathan? Somebody was on the comedy video. You should post that when we put this episode up because I think it's really funny. There's a Don Pardo introducing, and he's like, Nathan Shear, Matt.
I think it was me.
Should I not say his name?
Matt
Iyer, who is a really funny dude who I
Yes.
haven't seen in a long time, and I wish I would. But
he refuses to respond.
Yeah.
To my attempts to reach to him. So,
he's kind of, yeah.
But I love him and I miss him. If you hear this, Matt,
he's kind of
reach out.
He's like the JD Salinger of the local comedy scene, apparently. He's not, he's, doesn't show himself anymore. But anyway, that was you that did the I keep saying Jimmy Pardo. Don Pardo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
God, but I just love Don Pardo. And I like that Daryl Hammond, who's now the announcer because Don Pardo's dead, does kind of a Don Pardo impression almost in being the announcer for Saturday Night Live now.
Yeah, that's his whole that's the only thing and they never said anything, right?
Like they never said that it was Daryl Hammond?
Right. They never said they never were like, and now Daryl Hammond.
No. No. And it may be one of those things that he did it super Don Pardo-y at the beginning and then has done it a little bit less so as time goes on. Okay. But there was a thing where Don Pardo, when he was still the announcer for Saturday Night Live, if he was sick or couldn't record or whatever, there were a couple times that Daryl Hammond stood in and did it, and nobody said it was a backup announcer doing it. It was just him doing his best Pardo impression and trying to make sure people didn't know. Anyway. It was worth it to hear him say hip hop kids. And I really want to know who the hip hop kids are.
So whenever we do these big, long, variety type of shows, we try to just pick out our best moments, our favorite moments, as opposed to running down every freaking boring piece. So we've been tasked with picking our 5 favorite moments. And for me, this was so hard.
Yeah, it was.
It was so hard because there was almost nothing in this that I liked. And I had to reach so hard to find something that was just... And here's the thing.
I found little moments or single lines of things that were said that I'm like, that's entertaining for the...
Well, in the last one that we did, the first one that we ever did, there was stuff in it that was really... funny because it was really bad and or it was insensitive or it was just really this was just not fun. It was just boring. And there wasn't even anything that was so bad that I would put it on the list as oh yeah, this part's hilarious because it's so bad. This was just so boring. I didn't realize I know that they're always doing musicals in these parades. But I felt like this one was just only music.
It's just an advertisement for Broadway. It's
that's what this
one
is.
Broadway show after another, and then some marching bands mixed in, and I'm like, this is brutal.
So last episode I talked about my hatred of musicals, and I said I would get into that here. Let me do that before we jump in.
Please, because I like musicals, so I'm interested to hear.
So... one thing about them is, and I know that it is a genre. Okay, I know musical music is a genre. I understand that. But I feel like of all musical genres that there are in the world, the musical genre has not advanced at all past vaudeville times.
Oh, that's not true.
It feels and okay, to be fair, partly it's because a lot of these shows have been running for 50 years, you know.
Well, yeah, if all you watch is like Cabaret and
I'm saying yes, I understand that. I'm just saying like when you watch like even like in a Disney movie where the songs where they're not musicals, but the songs, there's a lot of songs in them, and it's not something specialized like say like in Canto or something where the music is supposed to be a certain genre, so that it's not as musical-ish, but you can hear the influences.
Yeah.
But in a movie like Frozen or something where the music is a little bit more musical-esque, esque, like that kind of stuff, like it just to me it sounds like, okay, like if I listen to hip hop from the 80s, right, when it late 70s 80s when it started, and I listen to hip hop today, there's a definite like progression.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If I went back to the future and played a song from today, back to the past, people in the past would say, "What is this? This is not rap music, right?" Because it's so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would understand it. But musical music, I feel like it is still drawing on its influences and still doing it because my theory is that musicals are like music and comedy for rich people. Okay. Like this is like the jokes are just like not funny at all. It's all like
that is the broadest.
Like,
that is the broadest generalization I've ever heard in my life.
Just wait, like everything's like a wink, like oh, and like and people are just roaring with laughter with every like twist and turn of someone's like side eye look, like like everything's like a like all of these, like all of the comedy in these things, it's just like, well, I'm gonna do this. Everything is like just so broad, and it's like I just picture people who don't know anything about what's funny and who are just out of touch with modern society, that with like everyday middle class living, that this is what they think life is like. Like, gosh, that Titanic one.
Well,
like,
yeah, if you go see stupid crap. But you said on the last episode I mentioned Hamilton, and you were like, "Oh, I refuse to watch." Like, yeah, if you refuse to watch things that are like changing the form, like,
okay,
have you ever seen Rent?
Just wait, hold on a second. I appreciate Hamilton for that purpose, that it's a different form. I hate that rich people have like taken to it and sort of like pulled the wrong stuff from it, I think, probably. But
what do you like what
like okay, like Rent, like what's Rent, like what's one of the like what's the song in Rent that's like
525,600 minutes?
Yeah. It's such a boring, it's so boring.
Well, if you don't have the context of understanding the meaning of it in the show, you could say anything's boring because you don't understand what it's saying.
Okay, but in my opinion, there have been some musicals that I do like, right? Like I enjoyed, I mean, like for instance, I did enjoy like that movie, and it's not a musical, so it's not fair, I guess, but Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Like they weren't talking to each other in song, were they? Or did they? They did, didn't they?
That movie sucks.
I'm not saying the movie is good. I'm saying I like the music.
I don't know if I can do this with you anymore.
I like the Beatles. I like that music. I like all the stuff from that era. So I can enjoy the songs. But if it is going
So
to
you
be
just
the
like
genre,
jukebox musicals where it's like a bunch of songs that are
yeah,
that you've
right,
heard.
no.
That's all you
I'm
like.
sure, and trust me, no.
So go see
Listen.
Jersey Boys or go see that Billy Joel
Listen.
thing
No,
and
no.
Moving Out.
Listen to me. There's clips from musicals like that, jukebox musicals in this.
Yes, there are.
I thought to myself, oh man, the people who like this are the worst of are the worst, because they're the ones who it's like they're if they're at a club, they won't dance unless they know the song, like that kind of person, right? They don't understand dance music as the thing. So like I was hating on that person just like you just did, but the truth is, like, I think I am that person.
Well, I'm not hating on anyone. You are. You said things like this. You took like an entire genre of like performance and music, and you said they're all like stupid jokes. Like they're all like wink, wink, haha, which I didn't even understand what the hell you were talking about then. I have no idea.
I'm formulating this opinion as I say it.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't. Have you ever seen Avenue Q? Maybe you'd like that, or Book of Mormon, or
I don't want to see puppets saying dirty words.
That's not what it is, though.
It may as well be.
It's actually like a story about like life in this urban city street that is. But I'm just telling you facts. You can accept them or not. If you want to believe the Earth is flat and that all the jokes in musicals are wink, wink, side eye, then I don't know what to tell you. I still don't even know what that means. I hate you.
Anyways, but you do admit though that there was not one good musical
Yes.
portrayed in this thing.
Yes. So
do you think Chicago is a good musical?
I don't even think it's possible to like do something like that in that format, because it was like it felt like they gave all the performances like 2 minutes, and you're performing out on a city street in like a massive city street with a ton of people. There's like everything that works about theater is the reason this doesn't work in the middle of a New York City street and as part of a parade. It's just nothing about the environment of it works. And so it always just looks weird and feels weird.
What was the one show? It's called like Sideshow or
Hip Hop Kids. What?
It was like Sideshow, and it was like people dressed in like pharaoh face.
Like Freak? Was it Freak Show?
No, Sideshow. They were like dressed up as Egyptians.
Well, there was something Freak Show-ish in this, isn't there?
I don't know. Their Sideshow was one of them. There was like, okay. I don't mind the Sound of Music. I don't mind it.
Oh my God. That's the musical you like?
No, I'm saying, no, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to go to the show. I don't want to watch the movie, but I don't mind that song that was in there. Right?
Okay. I'm going to sum up your opinion. You ready? I don't like musicals because they are hoity-toity and for rich people. But I don't like Hamilton or Rent, but I like the Sound of Music. That's what you've said.
No, I said I liked the song, that one song. What was it? A few of my favorite things.
I don't give a shit what it was. I've never seen that movie, and I never will.
I'm not interested in Peter Pan.
The Peter Pan like play that is from. It was like something I really liked as a kid because it was on TV, and we should do that as an episode, honestly. But with Mary Martin,
you want me to do that?
Have you never seen it?
No.
Oh God!
I know what
Now,
it is,
based on everything you've just said about musicals, there's nothing on earth I want more than for us to do that as an episode. I would love to have that episode happen. All right. Well, tell me something that you did like then. How about that?
All right. So let's get into our
What'd you
list.
write
We'll
down?
just go one after the other. So, first thing I liked, because it was the only moment in the show that was genuinely funny, and sadly the audio cut out on it at the end. But it was Andy Richter in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Commenting on the parade route. And of course we would like that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. He was saying funny things. It had like like this whole show is them like just talking about how great this thing is, even though people are dying and going to comas. The balloons are shredding.
Smilex gas is being
They're
released on
tearing
everyone.
the city apart. but he's actually like commenting on the kind of the he's taking a sideways glance. At the
A
parade.
wink, wink, ha ha. I haven't changed since vaudeville kind of approach to it.
I don't. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. Well. All right. So something. That was one thing I liked. I didn't write that down, but I did like that, and because I like Andy Richter, obviously, and I'm a huge Conehead. All right. Couple things I wrote down. So I wrote down some things that entertained or perplexed me. So they were like moments I was like, that's interesting. One of them is
just do one. We'll do.
Yeah. No. Okay. So Al Roker, who's one of the hosts,
yeah,
along with Willard Scott. Rest in
last
peace.
This was last year for Willard Scott.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, which is really funny because he is gushing about how much he loves this job.
Yeah. I had a couple different times where I was wondering if like were they forced to do this? Like you're in an NBC contract, this is a thing you need to do, or is like do you think they got paid additionally to do it? I guess they just have to do it.
No, this is their job. Like it's always the Good Morning America people.
Yeah, okay.
Cuz Matt Lauer can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Lauer is who does it the next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I liked the moment where Al Roker was
Sadly.
introducing someone. And he said, I'm with a woman that's been called the most complete and gifted female singer of her generation. I just want that to sink in. The most complete and gifted female singer of her generation. So you're like, 90s. Okay. Oh, so he's with Whitney Houston. Or he's with Mariah Carey. Or he's with Celine Dion. Or he's with Bonnie Raitt. Or he's like, I'm just like... And he goes on. And we're not just talking country music. Like, oh, he's with Dolly Parton. Okay. No, he's with Winona Judd. Has anyone ever called her that?
I don't know.
Has anyone ever called her the most complete and gifted female singer of her generation? I'm
maybe,
serious.
Right?
Is she that? I didn't realize she was that.
I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I know that name means something. Like it's a name that I recognize. Like,
yeah.
Otherwise, if it's country music and I recognize the name, then it must be either the worst music ever made or it's someone who's super famous. Like that's how I would know them.
So I like that moment just because it was like a one of many examples of just like the dialogue that these hosts are told to say is just so terrible. And I have a moment here shortly I'll say where it feels like they're openly kind of like mocking it. So anyway, but I just like how stupid and over the top and schmaltzy it was. Go ahead.
There's a bunch of times in this like where they're having to like like there's one time where he's like introducing like soap opera stars and he's having to fluff them up, but of course they're like losing their they can't control themselves. You remember the scene where
I have a clip of this one?
Okay, so I will not talk about it then. Okay, so my second one is, and these aren't in any particular order except I guess they're in the order that they appear, but they are not in order of preference.
Sure.
But remember how I said earlier how I was having a hard time finding stuff, and I wanted to find stuff that I liked versus like stuff that was just so bad that you have to see it, because there wasn't enough of those. So I gotta say I loved the Deborah Gibson float. I love that song.
Oh my god, that's something I wrote down, but because I thought it was silly.
I love in my
only in my
dreams. But I have to say, okay, it was a new remix of it, and I liked it. And then she started rapping, And when that happened, I immediately got down on my hands and knees and prayed for the hip hop kids to show up.
Hip hop kids!
Because I did not enjoy that part at all.
Hip hop Deborah! Yeah, it made me go and look up. I'm like, this song wasn't new in 1997. Why the hell is she singing this?
Because
and I went and looked it up, and I found out she re-recorded it in 97, then another time after that for albums. And I'm like, come on, Deborah.
This was like, how can I come back? No one's going to care about my music.
How could I be new and fresh by doing a song? It came out in 1986 originally.
Yeah.
So it's 11 years old at this point.
And I love that
it's
song.
Weird.
The original in particular. But like I said, I'm reaching here. Okay.
All right, that's fair. Okay, I'm gonna talk about that moment you were talking about. So there's a moment when Al Roker, and mine aren't all Al Roker moments, but when he was interviewing this list of people from like different soap operas, like 3 different soap operas that were on NBC. One of them was Sunset Beach, and one of them was, I can't remember. I wrote down that he introduces one of them as, he's like, this guy from this and this lady from this. And he says, and the always dangerous Linda Dano. And I was like, who the hell is Linda Dano? There's so many people in this. And I'm like, they were never heard from again. But the moment where he's trying to talk to this group of soap opera actors, and they're just like not listening to him at all. And it feels like he's trying to calm them down, and he basically is like, it sounds like he's probably actually frustrated, and then is playing it like he's joking. So that's a moment that I enjoyed.
People think so, but no. Walks through fire, oceans, cars, airplanes.
I'm dying here.
Yeah, you are.
I'm trying to get a word in, and I'm dying.
Jump in.
Fall off that roof. Land on
I'm
this
gonna try
street.
to throw you off. How are you guys spending? Hello. How are you spending Thanksgiving? How are you spending Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so in case you couldn't make out what was happening there, Al Roker is like hopelessly flailing around trying to get these like soap opera actors to listen to him and answer the question. They're just talking back and forth and laughing. And he finally just goes, hello, I'm asking a question.
By the way, the audio for this was miserable. Like, you could not hear anyone talking over the crowd.
Yeah, I know.
Or the music or the lot. This was like, I mean, at one point, Willard Scott is talking without a microphone, and Katie Couric puts the microphone up to his mouth. Like, these are professionals who, like, this is their only job. Okay.
Hello. But he sounded like, and he tried to play it like he was joking, but he sounded like he was actually like annoyed. So I loved that.
No, he was absolutely like, I got a show to do
like,
here, you
God,
idiots.
you idiots. Like, you can gaggle on like off screen, but we're like on national television right now. Anyway.
All right, so my third thing, and this is, again, I said, I am reaching. Okay. I gotta say, I kind of enjoyed the Backstreet Boys song.
Oh boy, that's whatever.
Okay,
this had to have been right when they started becoming like big, right? 98 and 99 were like their big years. I think 2000.
No, I think this is after. I think this is like right on the edge of it all ending.
No.
Let me just look.
I distinctly remember them still like being all over the place and being played, like, because I graduated high school in 99 and they were still very popular. They were still dominating TRL with NSYNC.
So in 90, oh, okay, never mind. So 97 and 96 is when their first album is released.
Okay.
So in 90, yeah, okay, no. So this is actually before they're massive, because Millennium comes afterwards.
Yeah, that's like 99-ish, I think.
Yeah, so this is before then. I was thinking this was a little bit later, but it makes sense that my guess is superstardom level, they're not on one of these.
That's why I'm saying that is like this has to be the this is like the beginning of the like big rise to major superstardom because they wouldn't be on this.
I don't.
They wouldn't be sharing a bill with hip hop kids.
Yeah, I don't listen to boy bands from that era necessarily, but I enjoyed it. It made me think. I don't hate this stuff as much as we all joked about it.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Thank you.
See, now you're making me feel bad because a lot of mine are things that I thought were like silly or funny for the wrong reason.
I'm glad that you have those because that's what I always look for to do, and I just couldn't. I was just so angry during most of this that I couldn't even like enjoy the like fake enjoy it.
So one thing I thought was funny is they obviously when they have this, the producers and the writers or whoever they have are like faced with, okay, we have this big block of time that we have to fill. So we got to do things. So we're going to do like the Andy Richter thing. We're going to cut away to that for a few minutes or whatever. So they have to put together a lot of commentary and a lot of like cutaway things. One of the little cutaway segments they do, Willard Scott is like, narrating this, like, let's look at this in-depth thing about how the Macy's inflation crew like blows up the balloons. And it's like, let's see what happens behind the scenes. And then the entire thing is just him going like, they inflate the legs. And once the legs are inflated, they move on and inflate the torso.
Yeah.
And the torso takes a little bit longer because it's bigger than the legs. And then the hands come next. And that's like the whole thing. And then he's like, and then it has this much gas in it. And we're done. And it's like the most useless cutaway ever. But it was like
Spider-Man one. It's the Spider-Man one, right?
Yeah, yeah. But the Macy's inflation crew, I just like that term, and I like that they got their moment in the sun. And they were probably thrilled that they were on camera doing that. So it's a nice little shout-out moment. I like that. Yeah, good for them. They're probably still talking about it, don't you think?
Oh, no question.
I was part of the massacre, the 97 Balloon Massacre.
Let's really quick, I want to talk about the balloons a little bit in that we know of all the troubles that they caused. What's interesting is that since a lot of these balloons were just trashed or whatever, like they actually had to show us video clips of the balloons because they had the script. They were supposed to talk about these things, but they didn't show up. So instead of like just riffing about something else, they're like, no, we'll keep talking about it. We'll just show clips from them. So they would just be like, oh, and here comes the Sonic balloon. Not really. This is from a videotape earlier.
This was in a cornfield when we were testing it 3 weeks ago.
Here's what we would have said if it did fly right by us. And what's funny is like, the wind and everything, like, you heard all the problems. If you watch, like people under these balloons are scrambling. These things are like they're like, it's like a drunk driver. Like people are like running, like they're like for their lives, like just pulling these balloons around. It's wild.
Yeah. You don't know at all that there's like this complete chaos going on because they're just showing like clips that were shot 2 weeks ago. Helium test clips that were never intended to see the light of day. So it's a good time.
So my next one, I want to play this clip for you, so you can hear what I'm talking about here. Again, I'm reaching, but the reason why I liked this came right after the Backstreet Boys, and so Backstreet Boys video clip of Sonic going by.
Oh yes, I think you're about to say exactly one that I wrote.
And then put on a happy face, which is, I don't know who it is. It's people are dancing to this thing, and the music sounds like something you'd hear walking past a booth in old school Epcot, like just this a really super electronic electronic music version of Put on a Happy Face. And I enjoyed this for that purpose, and I'm going to play it now so you can hear. It also kind of sounds like music that you would play while you're playing Sonic.
Yeah, it sounds like video game music somehow.
Yeah.
You gotta describe the outfits that these people are wearing.
They're wearing different colors of shirts with a happy face on them.
Just like a big, giant happy face. Very bright colors.
Big
Everyone
emoji.
has pom-poms.
This was the emoji before emoji.
Yes. And it's impressively coordinated, the dancing they're doing.
Yeah, they just marched their way into a smiley face. I love it. All right. So yeah, I liked this kind of nostalgic, like you said, video game music, thing. Let's talk about the marching bands really quickly, which were for the most part just a real drag.
All the same, pretty much.
I was in marching band, and I know the music, it all sounds the same, right?
I like marching bands. The place that I like marching bands is like at a football game. And not
Sure,
even
like,
necessarily I like them when they're like in the stands playing and like pumping people up.
Sure.
And not like on the field doing formations
music,
and stuff, but
it might as well just be the drums, right?
Right.
Like,
That's what I like.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, and it's kind of fun to watch like the Ohio State band like do something interesting with their, but the real truth is when you watch all of these bands go by, these marching bands, they all do the same things. The only ones that are interesting and fun to watch are the black ones.
Yes.
Like
the drum lines and stuff like
and
that.
This is actually true in the musical, like in all of the musicals. The only ones that were any interesting to me were ones they were primarily black dancers or singers, because the music was different. It didn't have that same sound. It was just.
You
it's
are
like,
really aiming for the musical theater
like,
industry on this episode. You're really grinding.
To me, it's like it makes sense. It's like black people like absolutely are progressing forward the musical and the marching band and thinking about how to do these things interesting and more than the average white guy who's like, this is the way it's always been. Look, I don't want your fancy pants. I don't want your fancy dancing in your marching band. Just get in the line, do the X formation, and play the Hang On Sloopy, okay? Don't kick your legs up. I want to hear any of that rap crap in my marching band.
Tomfoolery.
Okay? Yeah, like that. That's how I feel. That's what it feels like. But then when you see them come through, the black bands come through, they're like, doing cool dances, and they're like, the music's interesting. It's like they're doing versions of Michael Jackson, and it's not like the same old crap you see every time you watch one of these things.
Yeah, I understand that. There's
kudos
so much
to
in
the
this
black culture and to black people for giving us what we want.
Yeah, there's so much in this that it's like a marching band, maybe. A marching band would be okay. Like, we don't need every marching band. We don't need every musical that's on Broadway. And for my money, I don't ever need to see the Rockettes. I don't need them to be referred to as the world famous Rockettes.
Gosh.
Like, I don't get it at all.
And I definitely don't need them fully dressed.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing here?
Oh,
Am I
by the
right?
way, notice how in every single one of the marching bands, this marching band, like their only intro is like, this marching band worked 35 hours a day to scrap up the money they could so they could show up in this parade. Like I'm
so
like
they could be massacred by balloons.
I'm like, what? Like every single one, it was like this marching band sold cookies and cakes and tea.
Yeah, it feels like with a major like broadcasting event like this, it has like Macy's money pumping into it, and God knows like how many like sponsors that are peppered throughout this. Like they should probably give like those bands a free like trip, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
like they're performing for free.
Right, it's not. This isn't a missions trip. just pay for them to come.
Like, it's like
and then also they
rounding error how much it would cost to like to bring them in. It's not a big deal.
And then they also mentioned that the people like moving the balloons and stuff, they're like all volunteers.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I'm like, really?
I'm like, this is a job. Like I work and now I have to come in on my holiday.
Yeah,
and I have to carry. Like I'm like, you're just taking volunteers? No, I'll be at home watching. Thank you.
Yeah, if by that measure, like they're volunteers. So when the wind starts kicking up and freaking, whatever animal that they're trying to control, whether it's like Snoopy or who was the one we were talking about, Miss Petula, like they're volunteers. They should be totally entitled to just go, fuck this, and just let go of it and walk away.
Yeah. Where's the
I'm not
police?
getting drug on asphalt by like Bumpy getting out of control and drag or the Cat in the Hat or whatever. I'm just I'm done.
Can I ask really quick? Why does the NYPD? Why do they all have knives?
I don't know.
Where did they shoot the balloons? No, it says they stabbed them.
They're all stabbing
What did they
them.
stab them with? Their billy clubs? Do they want?
I don't know. They probably
Do
equipped
they have like
them
Rambo
with,
knives?
They equipped them with emergency balloon stabbing knives, or they make stations along their parade routes,
They
like
walk
in
around
case
with
of
machetes.
in case of like rogue
These guys are
balloon,
like-
break glass and stab.
These guys are like guerrilla, freaking like Latin American, like.
Yeah, they all have butterfly knives. You didn't know that about the NYPD? It's great.
All right, what's your number 4?
What do I want to pick from this? So I like I keep going back to just like things that were said and that are hokey and weird and stupid, and I'm like, was that scripted? So 2 examples of that. I know I'm kind of cheating by giving 2. One is when Willard Scott was describing, there was like a float thing that had some kind of like squid or octopus or giant like.
Oh, that's the soap opera one.
And
I mean, they were on it later.
He's talking about like how the size of it, and he says, talking about this like squid thing, he says, I wonder if people know that each of those tentacles is the size of a tugboat. And I was like, well, that's a weird. I don't know. I've just never heard anyone describe something as like, I've never heard a tugboat used as like the unit of measure of something. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's
probably,
the Titanic was at least 50 tugboats long.
Yeah, you don't hear that these days. And then Katie Couric during Sonic, which I'm like, is this scripted or did she come up with this on her own? They're talking about like, oh, here comes the Sonic, and he's like super quick, and they all have these like little talking points they're supposed to say about the characters. And so she's talking about how fast Sonic is, and she says, Sonic, he's the Chuck Yeager of the video game set. And I was like, Chuck Yeager? I'm like, how old of a reference is that? And I looked it up. Chuck Yeager was famous for breaking the sound barrier in 1947. So 50 years before this parade is happening. I'm like, that's the most like that is like stuff like that throughout that is just, it makes this feel so like dowdy and like antique is what I'm trying to say. Not unique, but antique. It's just like dated. Like as soon as she's saying stuff like, I'm like, Chuck Yeager. It's like if I said, oh, this guy's really quick, and then I just pulled a name of somebody from like the 1972 Olympics and just like threw their name out. You'd be like, what? Like what?
Could you have said like Mario Andretti or something?
Yeah, she could have said anything. So say somebody from the Olympics that happened the year before this, or say anything other than Chuck Yeager. And anyway, so I was like, I wonder if that was written or if that's just like something she came up with on the spot.
Chuck Yeager sounds like a late 70s rock and roll star.
It
or
does.
something.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so my number 5, my last one, and this is gonna be interesting because of kind of everything we've said. But like I said, I've been reaching. But I gotta say, I did not hate the song that Winona sang.
Oh, really?
What was the song?
I feel like I
that,
skipped through a lot of it.
It's a song that Eric Clapton covered later on after during his my son is passed away era.
I think
Sorry.
I think that was before this.
No, remember he sings Did You Know My Name and all that stuff?
Would you know my
Would
name
You Know
if you
My
saw
Name?
me if you saw me in heaven? But I think that was before this. I think that was before 97.
Let me see. Let me
Son
look
famously fell out of a window that was left open by I think a cleaning woman in his high-rise apartment.
So Change the World. Let me see.
Oh, that's a different song. That was like 99-ish.
No, I know that. I'm saying that's the song. Okay, so never mind. He recorded that in 1990. Wait a second. If he did that in 1996, then
That's the song that she sang?
that is the song that she sang. But it was initially,
I think that's from the Powder soundtrack, if I remember correctly.
but it initially was it was sung by her initially,
Oh, okay.
and then he covered it. So I guess she's just singing an older one of her.
She can sing anything she wants. I've always said that she's the most complete and gifted female singer of her generation. And I was not just talking about country music.
You have said
You
that.
know that I say that. You've heard me say that.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Al Roker said it, you've been saying it.
No,
Since
I predate
1997.
that. I've been saying it since way before that.
You've been saying it since 1996 when Eric Clapton covered her song.
Exactly.
And you thought,
Yes.
who did this originally?
All right. So this may
that
be
was
stretching
mine.
too, but this last moment, I've talked about the fact that like the dialogue that they're saying is just stupid. And so this is like the only moment I heard that it felt like they were like letting on that it was stupid. Maybe I'm imagining this, but okay, Katie Couric is introducing Barney. And she's doing the like, yeah, I've known Barney and blah, blah, blah. And I want you to listen because one of the other two guest hosts, I think it's Willard Scott, but I can't tell for sure. Just listen, see if you can hear like what he does. Because I think he's mocking her.
This spring with his best buddies, Baby Bop and BJ. I know them well. Right now, let's listen to that super duper superstar trio as they sing.
So, okay, it's very subtle. So you might have missed it. But she says, like, Bernie's in the super duper D trio, like something like that. And while she's saying that, somebody goes, oh! like they're like mocking what she's saying. Because what she's saying is so stupid.
No.
No,
Okay.
They go super duper D, and then they go, ugh. Like it sounds like I want to believe that they're making fun of her for having to say that.
No, he's doing Barney's voice.
I know, but I think he's like making fun of her for having to say that, and it's like just like picked up. I'm gonna play it one more time. I want to play it one more time, and I'm gonna let the people decide. You ready?
No.
All right.
Bop and BJ, I know them well. Right now, let's listen to that super duper superstar trio as they sing Imagine.
It might be Roker.
No.
It sounded like a Roker there that time, but he's like, ugh. Like I think he's
No,
like
he's
making
doing-
fun of the whole thing.
No way, because he knows how stupid it all is. He's not making fun of.
He's making fun of her for having to do that. You don't think that they do that? You don't think they're...
No,
there's all kinds
I
of
think-
puns and stupid shit. You don't think they're like
No.
laughing at each other when
No.
the camera's not on?
No, because you heard what happened. No, they love this.
Ooh.
Because, no, they interview Daryl Hammond. Al Roker interviews Daryl Hammond. He's doing his Clinton impression. and they cut to Willard Scott, and he's doing his own Clinton impression. They love this stuff. This is like the only thing that they get. In those little tiny moments when they're riffing, that is all theirs. That's what they get.
But they could love that they're riffing and like being silly and making fun of each other for having to do this scripted crap.
No, they're too sincere. No, they love this stuff.
What makes you think that they're too sincere?
I'm not saying too sincere. I'm saying I mean I did say that. I'm saying I think they love it. I don't think they hate it. I don't think they.
So, as a standing rule from now on, when you're saying something on one of these episodes, and I want to kind of like make fun, I'm just gonna go, and you'll think that I'm being like earnest and being real.
No, I won't. I'll know what you're freaking doing. Yeah, I know what you're doing.
I'm gonna choose to live in my truth, which is Al Roker was making fun of Katie Couric, and it got picked up on there.
Let me say this though,
and that's what I'm gonna believe.
All of those riffings are bad, right? But that Willard Scott did. Typically, usually in these things, he's just making like sexist comments about the women, like he did the Rockettes. He always usually, but in this one, like, so they interview Al Roker's interviewing Daryl Hammond, and he says, "You have a thing about Bill. You have a thing about Bill Clinton, don't you?" And
like
that
the most
stupid
leading
like
question,
setup. Yeah, like Byron Allen kind of stuff.
Oh God.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I call it the Clinton switch," and he does this thing. And he's doing the impression. And then they cut back to Willard Scott, and he's doing a Bill Clinton impression. And Katie Couric, to like bust his balls, she's like, "Who are you? What impression is that?
Yeah, what is that supposed to be?"
And he doesn't go like, "Oh, that's by Bill Clinton." He goes, "I'm just doing an impression of myself with laryngitis." And I thought like that was a great yes and like he went with it. Like I thought, okay, you did it. Good job, Will.
Great in the sense that he like came up with something to say, but the comment isn't great.
No, but it's like at least a thing. It's a yes and, as opposed to what it is normally, like of someone just kind of going like, "Well, it's by Bill Clinton. You don't get it," or something,
I guess.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, this year's Macy's parade, when is on and you're making your cranberry sauce out of Colin's costume. Hopefully that this year's is better and it's not just all vaudeville style musicals. Unless you're a rich person,
that are all
then,
winking at each other,
love them
sideways winking. Stupid.
Anyways, hopefully you have a good Thanksgiving, and as always, go to networkspecialpodcast.com where you can download the show. You can go on Apple Music, your favorite podcast service, and subscribe. Give us some likes, some 5 stars, a comment. Do it all. You can go to our social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and you can find us on YouTube as well. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Bye. I'm cutting that.